Welcome to Stasisen. So, Aurora MR. Simple review on this. It's considered a light fighter and, well, one of the two cheaper options you can get. There are plenty of different types of Auroras. Currently I'm flying MR, which is the standard stock variant. There is also Aurora LX, which is your standard exploration pathfinding variant. Then we have the Aurora LN, which is also light fighter. Aurora ES, which is Pathfinder in a way, and Aurora CL, which is light freight. They're all basically the same, but each one has their own little twist. MR is the most maneuverable variant. The LX is the pathfinding one, so it has the most amount of fuel. The LN has bigger or even stronger rockets. The ES is just the most standard basic variant of this ship, and I believe it's one of the cheapest ships in the game. While the CL of course is freight, so it can carry the most amount of cargo. But we are going to focus on Aurora MR. Now, it is the best maneuverable of the bunch. They all have the same weapons, and the stock loadout is actually rather depressing. It's got two size 1 weapons. I think for a ship of this small caliber and the maximum capacity of only having size 1s, it should come with all 4 size 1 weapons equipped. But instead we get 2. We also get 2 size 1 rockets and mostly civilian grade C and D equipment. The weapons themselves are actually pretty good size 1s. In my own loadout I have of course made it into a proper light fighter. So I removed the gimbal and put all of these laser weapons in fixed positions. I have kept the bulldogs because these weapons just have so much ammo available. They might not do huge amount of damage, but they just have so much ammo available and such a huge fire rate. For my equipment I've mostly put military grade A, but since there is a lot of overheating I thought I would put in industrial coolers. It did reduce it to a reasonable level, but still there is some overheating happening. Once you should regenerate your shields and try to regenerate some ammo. Because this ship is relatively small from the front, I am willing to sacrifice some of the military components for the better performing ones. Since it is a light fighter, of course it needs to be relatively good in combat. What this ship kinda offers is somewhat good field of view. You can see pretty much all around straight front, but the frames of the glass will somewhat block it. Now the screens I believe are positioned well enough, although theoretically they could be smaller. So it's still a pretty decent ship considering how well you can see. Firing 4 bulldogs at once will actually cause quite significant amount of damage. So I did burn down its shield and I did damage it a little. The size 1 ammo replenishes at an incredible rate and, well, there's 4 times 41 shots of it. Although the damage is small, it's like 1,000 little stings. Since you are pretty maneuverable and you are a small target from the front, this ship will actually receive quite a little damage if you know how to maneuver. Fighting against light fighters is where this ship can work. If you will put something well defended against it, something with a big HP pool, something with strong shields, big shields, it will take forever to bring down that target. I would say this ship is just meant to fight against other light fighters. It's not really meant to fight against capital ships, fleet ships, or any ship basically that has bigger shields than the Aurora. My favorite aspect of this ship is actually having an interior. Interior where you can access the inventory and a bed to sleep. Also to store boxes if you want to do some box missions. Now it is really cramped, you need to keep that in mind. But fortunately for you, there will be no one else really able to enter this ship without your permission. The inventory is reasonably big, but you cannot store all your bunker goodies in there. You can store around 2-3 sets, plus the weapons. As the space is relatively limited compared to bigger ships, it still has enough of it to be acceptable and reasonable by itself. The ship itself is acceptably good. It's not the best, it's not the worst. Plus, if you manage to land all the shots with your 4 little repeaters, it can be quite devastating against other light targets. Now, as it's not a really transport ship, it's not really a hauler, it's not really meant for all kinds of looting, it is still quite capable of doing those aspects to an extent. I somewhat dislike the idea of having this ship designated as a light fighter. It should be explorer, it would be somewhat more interesting to have more fuel on a ship like this. or some other variant of this ship that could give it another twist and make it different from Mustang, because they're both light fighters, or at least they are considered light fighters at the moment. This one just has smaller weapons. It is still quite reliable, the weapons have such a good rate of fire, and from the front you are a relatively small target, which is one of the aspects I like about this ship. Although you can break off some of your wings, your parts, and in the process lose some of your weapons, this ship is still quite handy, and you would need to land some nice hits to rip those wings off. I personally consider this the better variant of the starter ships, and in general think it is a great option to start off with. It is capable enough to do most missions. It may not look beautiful, but it's powerful enough, good enough, and gives you plenty of options and things to do in the verse. Anyways, thanks for watching.